Wealth starts in the mind, not in the wallet. That might sound like a catchy phrase, but it's a deep truth that separates the rich from the broke long before any money ever changes hands. You see, money is a result. It's a byproduct of thought, behavior, and belief. If your inner world is filled with fear, lack, and limitation, no amount of external opportunity will bring lasting wealth into your life. On the other hand, when your mind is programmed for abundance, opportunity seems to follow you like a shadow. The world teaches us that you have to work harder, get a better job, or save every penny if you want to be rich. But history shows us something different. Some of the wealthiest people in the world started with nothing, no money, no connections, no degrees. What they did have was a different operating system in their minds. They refused to accept poverty as permanent. They refused to believe that struggle was their only option. They decided long before the money showed up that they were already wealthy in their thinking. And because they believed it first, they behaved like it second, and the results followed. The person with a rich mindset understands that money is simply a tool, not the source. They value learning over leisure, investing over spending, and growth over comfort. They're not impressed by looking rich. They're committed to being rich. A broke mindset, however, will focus on survival, not strategy. It sees every dollar as something to spend, not something to multiply. It fears risk, avoids change, and is always waiting for permission to act. The broke mindset doesn't live in poor neighborhoods. It lives in poor thought patterns. Let me give you an example that brings this home. There were two brothers who grew up in poverty, raised by a single mother in a low-income neighborhood. They were exposed to the same environment, the same schools, the same hardships. As adults, one of the brothers ended up homeless. When asked what influenced their paths, both gave the same answer. With a mother like mine, what choice did I have? One blamed his situation on the circumstances. The other used those same circumstances as fuel to rise above them. That's the power of mindset. Same house, same problems, completely different results. Not because of their wallet, but because of their thinking. This is why you can give two people the same $10,000 and see two completely different outcomes. One person sees it as seed capital, an opportunity to invest in a skill, a business, or an idea. The other sees it as a chance to pay off debt or buy something they don't really need. One is thinking long-term, the other is thinking right now. But the real difference isn't what they do with the money, it's how they think about the money. You don't attract wealth by hustling harder. You attract wealth by becoming a person who operates from abundance, who adds value, who sees possibilities where others see problems. That doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you stop letting reality define what's possible. Wealth begins the moment you make a decision to reject scarcity. When you choose to believe that you are capable of producing, creating, and multiplying, despite your current conditions, that's when your mind starts planting seeds for future success. It's why some people can lose everything and rebuild it all again, while others win the lottery and end up broke in 5 years. Their inner programming either supports success or sabotages it. If you don't fix the programming, the money won't matter. The wallet reflects the mindset. So if you want to be rich, don't start with what's in your bank account. Start with what's in your belief system. Start with your thoughts, your habits, your language. Stop saying I'm broke and start saying I'm building. Stop saying I can't afford it and start asking, how can I make this happen? A mental shift changes everything. Because in the end, money flows toward clarity, confidence, and contribution. Those things don't live in your wallet. They live in your mind. And when your mind is rich, the money can't help but follow. Learn to operate by principles, not paychecks. That one truth could be the turning point between living a life of quiet financial desperation and stepping into consistent, overflowing abundance. Too many people build their lives around paychecks. Temporary, limited, and externally controlled. But wealthy people live by timeless principles, permanent, unlimited, and internally driven. When you operate by principles, you're not just chasing money. You're building systems that attract it. You're no longer a slave to income. You become a master of impact. Paychecks come and go. Jobs can be lost. Economies can shift, but principles remain the same. The principle of value says the more value you give to the marketplace, the more income you can generate. The principle of leverage says you don't get rich by trading time for money. You get rich by multiplying your effort through people, systems, or capital. The principle of stewardship says wealth flows to those who manage well what they already have. These principles aren't tied to a job title. They aren't limited by minimum wage. They're universal. And when you align your life with them, you tap into a flow of provision that goes beyond anything a paycheck can provide. People who live by paychecks ask, how much will they pay me? People who live by principles ask, how much value can I create? That question alone shifts your position from dependent to dominant, from reactive to proactive. The paycheck mindset is always waiting for someone else to set the terms, waiting for Friday, waiting for overtime, waiting for a raise, waiting. But the principle-based mindset is always asking, how can I solve bigger problems? How can I multiply what I already have? How can I own, build, and lead instead of borrow, rent, and follow? When you live by paychecks, your entire life is built around survival. Your decisions are limited to what your current job can fund. But when you live by principles, you begin building a life based on vision. You understand that wealth doesn't come from working more hours. It comes from working the right ideas. It comes from understanding how money moves, how systems grow, how people think, and how to serve in ways that scale. Let me give you a clear example. Imagine two men named Kevin and Marcus. Kevin works a solid 9-to-5 job making $60,000 a year. Every week he counts the hours until Friday and the days until payday. His financial plan is based entirely on what his employer offers. He's a good employee, but his focus is on getting by, not grow. He believes stability is the same as security, and he doesn't question the limits placed on his income. Marcus, on the other hand, also starts with a job, but he thinks differently. He studies the principles of money. He reads, learns, and finds ways to solve problems in his company. He realizes that people are willing to pay for value, not just time. After work, he builds a small consulting business helping other professionals with workflow systems. He uses the principle of leverage, turning his knowledge into an online course that runs while he sleeps. In 2 years, Marcus is making more from his principles-based side business than from his paycheck. Eventually, he leaves the job, not because he hates work, but because his principles created a greater path for income, impact, and independence. What separated Marcus from Kevin wasn't luck, education, or talent. It was a decision to stop living by paychecks and start living by principles. He understood that wealth is not something you work for. It's something you work for. It's something you build through alignment with timeless truth. If you want to be rich, you need to stop asking what a job will pay you and start asking what life is demanding from you. What problems can you solve that people will reward? What assets can you build that will pay you whether you work or not? What mindset are you carrying? One of dependency or one of dominion? Operating by principles requires more discipline up front. It takes faith, patience, and vision. But the reward is freedom. Freedom from stress, from limits, from the illusion that your future depends on someone else's paycheck. Because in the end, money is a tool. Principles are the foundation. And when you live by principles, the tools will always find their way into your hands. You must become before you can receive. This principle is not merely a motivational catchphrase. It is a profound truth that governs the laws of wealth and success. It speaks to the essence of personal transformation and the alignment of one's inner world with their external reality. Before you can attract abundance, you must first cultivate the mindset, habits, and character that are congruent with the life you desire to live. At the core of this principle is the understanding that wealth is not just a physical accumulation of money or assets. It is a reflection of your inner state. Your thoughts, beliefs, and actions create a magnetic field that attracts circumstances, opportunities, and people into your life. If your inner world is filled with scarcity, fear, and limitation, you will attract experiences that mirror those beliefs. Conversely, if you cultivate a mindset of abundance, confidence, and possibility, you will draw towards you the resources and opportunities that align with those vibrations. This concept is rooted in the idea that the outer world is a mirror of the inner world. The circumstances you find yourself in are not random. They are a direct reflection of your internal state. If you desire to change your external reality, you must first change your internal reality. This requires a commitment to personal growth, self-awareness, and the willingness to confront and transform limiting beliefs and behaviors. The process of becoming involves several key components. First, it requires a shift in mindset. You must move from a fixed mindset, which believes that abilities and intelligence are static, to a growth mindset, which believes that abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. This shift opens up a world of possibilities and allows you to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles. Second, becoming involves the development of emotional intelligence. Your ability to manage your emotions, understand the emotions of others, and navigate social complexities is crucial in building wealth. Emotional intelligence allows you to build strong relationships, make sound decisions, and maintain resilience in the face of adversity. Third, becoming requires the cultivation of discipline and consistency. Success is not achieved through sporadic bursts of effort, but through sustained, focused action over time. This means developing habits that support your goals, setting clear intentions, and following through on your commitments. Lastly, becoming involves the alignment of your actions with your values and purpose. When your actions are congruent with your deepest values, you experience a sense of fulfillment and flow that propels you toward your goals. This alignment ensures that your pursuit of wealth is not just for material gain, but for a higher purpose that serves the greater good. A compelling example of this principle in action is the story of Brennan Schlagbaum, a finance expert from Texas. At 23, Brennan was a broke university student burdened with student debt. He diligently saved his money, but by the time he graduated, his savings had been depleted, leaving him with a negative net worth. However, Brennan's mindset shifted when he began analyzing corporate finances in his job. He realized that accumulating wealth required investing, not just saving. This revelation led him to change his approach to money. He now maintains minimal cash in his bank account and invests the majority to build real wealth. Brennan's transformation underscores the importance of mindset in achieving financial success and #X20. This story illustrates that the journey to wealth begins not with external actions, but with internal transformation. Brennan had to become the kind of person who understood the principles of investing and wealth creation before he could receive the fruits of those principles. His success was not a result of external circumstances, but of his internal growth and alignment with the laws of wealth. In conclusion, the principle of becoming before receiving is a call to personal transformation. It challenges you to look inward and assess whether your current mindset, beliefs, and behaviors align with the life you desire to create. It reminds you that wealth is not something you acquire, it is something you become. By focusing on your personal growth and aligning your inner world with your outer goals, you position yourself to attract the abundance and success you seek. Remember, you must become before you can receive.